All wings report in.
HouseDog, standing by.
MotherGoose, standing by.
Lowtech Tuck, standing by.
Lock S-foils in attack position. Animal Squadron ready for battle.
Well, hello there, and welcome back to the Animal Squadron podcast. I'm your host, HouseDog, and with me, as always, MotherGoose.
Hello, everybody.
It's just us, again.
Just us. Yep, we've been abandoned.
Just us for the last... What about the episode before that? Was it just us the episode before that, too?
I think so. Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since Tuki's been on. But Tuki's got important life stuff going on. Not like bad life stuff, but like good life stuff. And he's just busy.
No, he just doesn't care anymore. But we care about you.
We care. We love you the most.
But Tucker hates you.
Tucker
He's renounced the Animal Squadron podcast and vowed to destroy it.
He's starting his own Star Wars themed podcast. Only one shall stand.
Yes. One will fall. The other shall rise.
Thank you.
Much like the Empire.
Like the Empire. Well, today we are continuing a review of Andor. This is Season 1, Episode 4, Aldhani. We have kind of talked about it off pod, but I feel like our listeners deserve to know I failed. And I did end up watching Andor Season 2, and I'm sorry.
And I'm pretty sure you've watched the new Tales as well.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's like 15 episodes of television that I'm ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I just hope you enjoy rewatching them.
Oh, I will. In my defense, I was doing really good. I made it, I think, just past the airing of Arc 2 of Andor. And then I had something spoiled, and I was like, I can't. I don't want this to happen for the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I've never...
Oh.
Audience, I know you can't see, but I've never seen so much hurt in someone's eyes before.
It's not me you have to apologize to, Elijah. It's the fans.
Fans, I'm sorry.
Not very believable. We'll work on it.
We'll work on it.
I want a typed, written apology as well as a video put out on the MotherGoose YouTube channel, which I guess you should still go follow. But
yes, go follow.
He'll only break your heart.
And yeah, maybe I'll just make a really clickbaity, I'm sorry I failed you, I'm sorry I did this video, and then it just be all about me watching Star Wars.
And it has to be exactly like 5 or 7 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe I'll even push it to 10 minutes to get that extra ad revenue.
No, you don't deserve it.
Of course not. But is it a real YouTube apology if it's not exactly 10 minutes and 1 second?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, to get us to this episode, though, I think both of us have been pretty clear in the past that the Aldhani arc has been our least favorite. How are you feeling about it now that... I mean, I know we didn't watch the whole arc yet, but now that you've rewatched the first episode, how you feeling?
Not bad. And I forgot a great deal of things.
Yeah.
With this 4th episode and opening up this new arc here with this new crew and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it also brought up some sadness of things that I know that are to come.
Right.
But it's fine. It's fine.
It's gonna be okay.
I also love when I'm right and how at the beginning of this episode, it's them making their way to Aldhani, and Luthen and Cassian are just kind of talking about how this is an opportunity to serve something greater than just stealing scraps from the Empire and to make a real dent into it.
Yeah.
And I swear I didn't remember this because I have not seen Season 1 in forever, but I did not remember Luthen straight up coming out and saying, I didn't go there for the Star Path unit, I went there for you.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten that as well.
but it's just so nice being right. So
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, I think for me, I'll have to wait to give my full opinion on this arc again, but I really do appreciate how beautifully it was shot. I've said before that I think Andor is the most beautifully shot Star Wars project, and I think out of all of them, the Aldhani arc is the best, just in terms of cinematography. That being said, the plot as a whole never captured me that much, but I was, just this episode alone, I was feeling a little more interested than I was the first time I watched it.
Yeah, you can tell that there's more to come with this group. And I like that straight at the start, they tell you, we have 3 days until this goes down.
Right.
And it's great because it's a 3-episode arc. So I like when we do that. A bunch of new characters introduced
Yeah.
that I don't remember like any of their names besides the one chick, Cinta,
Yep,
who's not
Cinta,
even the main chick.
and then is it Vel or Val?
One of the two.
Yeah.
I think it's Vel.
Yeah.
And then there's black guy and older white guy and younger white guy.
I call him Autistic Kid. He's my favorite.
I figured he would be.
Every time I'm watching him, I'm like, he's me for real. He's me for real.
Building the 1-to-1 scale of the Imperial base.
Yeah, and he's like, no, don't touch that. It's fragile. Let me take care
It's
of it.
fragile. The rain makes the glue not work very well. Hold on, don't touch it.
Actually, it's not a meteor shower.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up too. It's actually cosmic rays coming in and exploding. It's quite beautiful from the ground, but in the sky, it's chaos.
But yeah, I really love his character. I think my favorite part of this episode, though, was the Luthen and Mon Mothma conversation.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed seeing the other half of Luthen. After he drops off Clem, who's Andor. Interesting seeing him without his beard and mustache.
Yeah, and the longer hair.
Clean-shaven Andor.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were still talking about Luthen. Yes, clean-shaven
It's okay.
Andor.
But anyways, I enjoyed seeing that moment after he drops him off and Luthen's putting on his persona. Who he has to be, but not who he truly is. I really enjoyed seeing that part of it, especially like the shot of him getting ready. And I don't really ever think I thought about it that much watching it the first time, but just the little details, like when he was getting ready to return back to Coruscant, like the hot towel on the face so he doesn't look so stressed out and, worrisome. And he kind of looks refreshed, like he's just been, gallivanting around the galaxy looking for artifacts and things. Or, possibly on some yacht cruiser somewhere enjoying a little R&R.
Yeah.
Into the headpiece. And then the one moment where he's standing there in the refresher and he's facing the camera. But it's kind of a wide shot. It's kind of stepped back a little bit. You know what I mean? And he's doing like this hand motion with like this slight laugh and smile, trying to become that character of like the gleeful artifact shop owner.
Yeah.
And as soon as he does it and tries to become that person, it only lasts for like a second and he immediately has to drop the facade. And I just think that's a really good scene. And I'm glad that that's in there. It probably seems like frivolous to some, but I think it's really important. And we talked about some of those moments last episode, and actually I think every episode has had some of those moments that seem insignificant, but I think really help build a character.
Yeah.
And flesh them out as a person. Because I think without that, just going from space to, like, if that scene wasn't in there, going from space back to his shop on Coruscant, where now he looks different, he's wearing these really grand outfits, that look really expensive, a random headpiece that would be like, why does Luthen have long hair now? And acting completely different, you would still get the idea and be like, oh, he's living two lives.
Right.
And you'd be able to understand that. But I think having those moments of, okay, he's not only playing a character in a show, he's also playing a different person within the show.
Right.
Which I think is twice as hard, is having to be two different people at once.
Yeah, I agree. And something I really love about this show, especially with this episode, is there are a lot of parallels. So the first big one, starting with Luthen, I really think he parallels Republic Clone Wars era Palpatine. The two different people, one's leading the Republic, one's leading the Separatists. And he has those two different identities. And that was a very cool connection whenever I finally put it together. And then also, something I didn't watch, or something I didn't realize until the rewatch, is how well Cyril and Andor parallel each other.
In what way?
They're both just young men who get caught up in this same conflict, just on different sides. They are two.
And just for clarification, real quick, in case anybody doesn't remember, because I'm bad at names too, Cyril is Deputy Inspector who has mucked everything up.
Right.
Continue, sir. Sorry.
You can really see the parallels in this episode. They each have to leave Ferrix and go their separate ways to kind of start their new lives, right? So Cassian goes to Aldhani, where he, kind of starts working with the rebellion, not officially, but he's doing a job for them. And Cyril goes home in shame.
That scene in the office is rather interesting, isn't it?
Yep.
Where he's being reprimanded. And I love how his boss is like, but I wasn't even here. I had nothing to do with this. And the ISB agent is just like, that's exactly why you're being retasked. That's why the Empire is taking over Morlana 1.
Yeah, which is so interesting because we kind of talked about this while we were discussing the last arc, but Cyril's actions directly result in the Empire getting control of this planet. Not that the Empire didn't have control, but now they have more control.
They weren't on the radar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Cyril going home and his mother immediately slapping him.
Yeah.
And then hugging him. And I didn't catch it, but I think the woman who plays his mother, I think that's the old lady from Harry Potter. The one that watches over Harry.
It is! I am so sure you're right.
She kind of watches over Harry. I think I don't remember which one it is. I think it's Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Yeah.
And she goes to court for Harry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the same woman. I don't remember her name.
I've seen her before.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but they look very similar.
Okay, so it's Catherine Hunter. I'm looking through her stuff right now. Yeah, Mrs. Fig, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix.
Such a great call, because it had been bothering me for a while of where I'd seen her before.
Yeah, she's Mrs. Fig from Harry Potter.
Hell yeah.
Which I didn't catch that the first time I watched. It was just this time where I was like, I know her.
Yeah. This was a really interesting scene because we see later that his mother can be kind of abusive, kind of controlling. And obviously we see that she hits him and that's not okay. But we also see her cry and get emotional. She's so happy that he's back. And it's got me really wondering, was she doing this because she genuinely missed her son? Or was she doing this because she saw somebody else in the hallway and wanted to pretend like a good mom?
I think this scene is genuine, and I think it is supposed to give us a look at why Cyril is the way he is.
Mm-hmm.
Is because he's just brought, like, whether or not his mom ever said it, and I don't remember how the rest of their relationship goes. I mean, I know it's not very great in the rest of the show, but just this small interaction here between the two of them, I think she was proud of him at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's returned home in shame, there's got to be that, like, I think part of it was she's ashamed of him now, but also, like, you could have died and you're my only, like, you're the only family I have.
Yeah.
Because I think at the later episodes, there's no mention of, like, his father or anything. So it's just been him and his mom. And it seems like it's only ever been him and his mom.
Yeah.
Which I guess also brings up more validation to your point of Cassie and
Yeah, I
Cyril
was
kind
just
of
thinking
being
about that.
mirrors of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Raised by strong, independent women.
Yeah. We haven't talked about Daedra yet.
Who's that?
That is the blonde Imperial lady.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I think I missed her name. But I'm so glad that the ISB is, like, in a show.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I saw that pop up with that really big overview of the building and her walking into the Imperial Security Bureau, and it just says that, like, right there, like, Imperial Security Bureau, I was like, yes. Because I think the ISB is so interesting. And it first came around in, I want to say Rebels. Like, was
Maybe,
the real,
yeah.
like, first mention of the ISB.
Yeah.
And just everything that goes on there. I'm always hoping to see Admiral Yularen.
Yep.
Because he became a part of the ISB. We know that from
Rebels.
Bad Batch?
Maybe. I'm pretty sure we see him in Rebels. He might be in
Did he
Bad
pop up in
Batch.
Rebels?
And I think he may have even been in Rogue One. And also, there is a character in, I want to say, Episode 4 that was not Yularen originally, but I think has been changed to be Yularen now that, we know more
He
about him.
exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like Rex showing up at the Battle of Endor now.
Right. Yeah, do you ever think him and Vader, like, hang out?
No. I think that's one of those relationships that doesn't carry through to after the Empire took over.
Yeah.
Because Vader did a pretty good job of, like, pruning all those branches.
Right. Have you seen pictures of Yularen from the beginning of the Clone Wars to the end of it?
Mm-mm.
His hair grays so much over those 3 years, and you just know it's because Anakin stressed him out.
Yeah, but then he, like, becomes the bigwig at ISB, you know?
Yeah, right. Oh,
Which
yeah.
I think is a really interesting place for him to go.
It's Callus and Yularen have a connection in Rebels. He's like one of his star pupils.
Which, yeah, I was just so glad to see the ISB back and actually kind of dive into what actually goes on there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't get much, but take it away with talking about Daedra.
No, I think this is a really interesting scene showing the inner workings of the ISB, because she and this other officer are having an argument over who has rights over Ferrix. It's under his jurisdiction, but an item stolen from her sectors was found there. So who's in charge here? And I just thought that was a really interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Especially that scene where the guy who's, like, leading the meeting, I don't remember his name, but it's after Daedra and the other lieutenant's little scuffle. They are all meeting back in this room again to try to figure out, she wants more information on it because of, what you said, because items were stolen. She started seeing patterns. And
Right.
the head boss is like, look, that dude's in control of 6 systems. You're in control of 2. The only reason you were brought here is because you're a hard worker, and it was thought that you would not make waves and you would produce results. So keep doing that. Keep your head down and quit making waves.
Right.
Because you don't even have your quarterly reports in, and you want more work.
Right. That's
Which I always
Partagas.
love seeing that part of the Empire too.
Yeah.
Like the whole bureaucracy of it, of, like, things don't really change.
Mm-hmm.
It's still just like, get your paperwork in.
Right. And I really like the scene that takes, well, it's the same scene, but immediately after Partagas leaves and you kind of just see her fidget just a little bit. You just like she drops the like Imperial Act. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase that, but nobody's watching. She can kind of relax for just a second before, stiffening back up and getting back to work.
Yeah, just that like facade of always being strong and nothing bothering her.
Yeah.
Because I think she's the only woman in that entire room.
I think so, yeah. But yeah, I remember first time watching these scenes, I was not very interested, I think, in these ISB like meeting room scenes, but the more we see of it, the more I just got invested.
Well, it's always nice to see how things work in Star Wars, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think in Mando and seeing kind of how the New Republic started working and how they were essentially brainwashing the Imperials after they like captured them to, reinstitute them into the galaxy.
Yep.
And really they were just like putting them through a machine and zapping them or whatever it worked.
Yeah.
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 And it's like, oh.
Which, I mean, I get that is a tough spot to be in when you have millions upon millions of like fascist soldiers who could cause a problem at any point. I don't think there's a good way to necessarily deal with that, but I definitely think there were probably better ways than what the New Republic ended up doing.
No, it's fine.
It's fine.
Just, put them in specialized parts of the district where they can only live and then, brainwash them. That always seems like it works out, right?
Control when they can leave and come back. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Also, putting all of them in one place is probably a bad idea, too, because that can help them organize.
That's what the brainwashing's for, allegedly.
Oh, right. Yeah, who cares if they can organize if we're zapping their brains?
Yeah, you got to make them docile.
Okay, so Mon Mothra. I think this is our first appearance of her this series, right?
Yeah.
What is it? I said Mothra instead of Mothma. Is that what you're laughing at?
Maybe. I just thought about the giant moth thing from Godzilla in Star Wars, like pretending to be a senator, and it was funny.
Tell me those scenes wouldn't be better if she was a giant moth. Tell me they wouldn't be better.
Just no speaking, just moth noises.
She could have handled the Empire herself.
She can't get any of the scenes done because she's always just like flying into a lamp.
Mon
Luthen's
Mothma.
just like, please, Mon Mothra, I need to talk to you about the rebellion. She's just fluttering into a lamp, just ding, 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 ding. I need these credits. What are you doing?
Dave, give us a moth species now. I need it.
Oh, I'm sure there's one out there. There's those flies in the sequel trilogy,
There are the fly things. Mon Mothma. I thought these reasons were really interesting. Finding out that Luthen, he runs this shop as his cover, I thought that was a really interesting way to handle that, especially, with her coming in and using the cover of buying a gift for her husband.
I just want to be in Luthen's shop.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many cool references. There's the Sith assassin armor. There was some Beskar armor. There was I think maybe a Jedi Guardian. Not the Guardian. What's the yellow bladed lightsabers? Temple Guards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's one of their masks at some point. Just really cool stuff.
Which, honestly, I'm surprised that a shop like this exists in the post-Republic Coruscant.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of power and history and things. And it's not the object that holds the power, it's the remembering and what it means and represents. So I'm kind of surprised that Luthen's shop is a thing in the Empire Coruscant.
I think it goes to appeasing the bureaucrats, appeasing the rich. They want to buy these pieces to feel fancy, and I think Palpatine wants them to indulge themselves as much as possible, because if he can keep them happy, he can keep them from rebelling.
For a time, until he has the ultimate power in the galaxy.
Exactly.
Which, sorry, we did get a mention of Scarif in the original ISB meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Right before we cut away, that's like the last line in that room.
Yeah.
He's like, what about these other reports? And he's like, we have continued construction shipping to Scarif. And then it just kind of fades away. And I'm like, we know what's happening.
Hell yeah.
We know.
We also get a mention of Gorman when Mothma is talking to her husband.
Who is Gorman?
So this is a Rebels connection, season 3, episode 18. There's the Gorman massacre, and this is when Mothma officially blames the Emperor and calls for the formation of the Rebel Alliance.
I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, it's a really big moment in both canon and Legends. So the Legends version, Tarkin landed his ship on Gorman protesters. The canon version, we don't know what happened, but we do know that is why Mothma officially takes her role into leading the rebellion.
That's kind of deep into Rebels too, season 3.
Yeah.
Like really deep into season 3 too.
So timeline-wise, the Gorman massacre, if it's season 3, should be about 2 BBY roughly. And this is 5 BBY, so this is still 3 years prior to that happening.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
I feel like I had another point about that. Oh, yes! Sorry, I just remembered. The formation of the Rebel Alliance. We get to see that happen in Rebels, season 3, episode 18, like I said. However, Cassian does mention the Alliance earlier in this episode. He asks, who are you with? I think he says the Partisans, Guerrilla, something else, or the Alliance.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious what the Rebel Alliance looks like at this point, because we know that they don't officially unite all the different Rebel cells for another 3 years.
Yeah, so I think it's just what we see in Rebels. I think that's supposed to fill in these gaps at this point.
Yeah.
That they're all just cells, like you have Saw Gerrera and things like that.
Yeah. Maybe it's just a generic term at this point that they said, oh, this is what they've been calling us. Why don't we just use that name officially?
Maybe.
What did you think of Mothma's husband?
I think that relationship gets more interesting the more the show goes on.
Mm-hmm.
But just straight out, just from this small interaction, it seems like their marriage was one of practicality.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of they chose each other. This was probably a marriage that happened because it was either arranged or they both needed something from the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of deal.
He makes my blood boil. The fact that he invited all of these people that hate his wife over to dinner just pisses me off so much.
He's just a fun guy. He's trying to have fun, and Mothma's a wet blanket.
Yeah, how dare his wife have a different opinion than him?
She should not have one at all.
And he has a really interesting line where she says they hate me, and he says, well, who knows, maybe they won't tomorrow. Which I think if his point was, or purpose was to specifically open the door so maybe she could make a connection and improve these relationships, great. But you can tell just by the way their conversation goes that that's not actually what he's doing. This is just something he's saying to make himself feel better, to justify him being a bad husband.
Maybe. Either that or he didn't care at all and just wanted to have a party.
He just wanted to have a good time with his friends.
He never called them friends. He just said they're interesting people and fun.
That is true. He just wants to have a good time.
That's all he wants to do is have a good time.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of immaturity, which we see that when he says his fun line, but also as she's walking away angry, he's like, but what about my present?
Hey. But that also just kind of goes to show whenever Luthen and her are talking earlier in the shop, she's like, I feel like I'm under siege because there's so many Imperial spies everywhere. And she's gotten a new driver since the last time they've met.
Yeah.
And you can tell from just that time of being at the shop to back at her place, her husband's already heard that she stopped to get a present for him.
Right.
Which just kind of builds that fact of like, there's no safe place anywhere.
Right. There's no secrecy.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think highlights just how important Luthen's shop is.
It is. It's a safe place. Something we glossed over earlier was whenever Luthen's dropping off Andor, he's kind of explaining everything to him, and he gives him the down payment of the blue kyber crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Which Andor calls it a sky stone.
Mm-hmm. Which I think makes sense. You know, not everyone in the galaxy is a Jedi. The Jedi are a very small population, or were before the fall of the Republic. So it makes sense to me that most people wouldn't know what kyber crystals are actually called, or if they even know about it in general.
Yeah, I mean, kyber has all different sorts of names, but I think it was an interesting point to give Cassian a piece of kyber, just like what's her face from Rogue One,
Jen Erso? Yeah.
How she has a piece of kyber.
Foreshadowing how they die to a weapon made of a lot of kyber.
You know, the strongest star has a heart of kyber.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting point that Cassian starts his journey with a piece of kyber.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, just with more parallels.
Mm-hmm. And we've always talk about that like Star Wars is trying to intermingle these stories better. And I think this is another one of those instances of where that happens.
Yeah. I agree.
You just gotta look for it.
For sure. It also was, I think, really interesting watching it the first time because, like, obviously now we know that he owns this shop and would have access to valuable items like that. But before you know that, you're like, how'd this random guy get a 50,000 credit kyber crystal?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Luthen's an interesting guy. He could have kyber stored away everywhere. I want to know what's powering his ship, too.
Yeah.
Because Cassian's like, I've been on regular Fondor craft before, and this thing does not move like a regular Fondor craft. And Luthen's just kind of like, whatever you say.
Could be anything.
Anything at all.
We've talked a lot on this show about the Empire's oppression of different people groups, and we get to see that really well highlighted in this episode with the people of Aldhani. The Empire found out that they have these cool caves that they could use for storage for their stuff. That's in a great location. Cool, get rid of all the natives. And that's exactly what they did.
Hey, they still allow them to, join together for the special meteor shower every year.
I think that highlights how strong as oppressors they are, because they manipulate the people into thinking, hey, we're at least giving you some bits of freedom. You can't be here, but you can still celebrate your religion.
Everybody's favorite holiday in Star Wars is Empire Day.
Of course. Well, I think that's everything I had for this episode. Did you have anything else, my friend?
We've set up the heist.
Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, that's why I don't think we've talked a lot about Aldhani, but that's why he's there. It's for the heist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just that small little... I mean, we talked about them going over the planet and everything.
Right. But they're there for... What did they call it? Is it payroll?
Yeah, it's an Imperial payroll for a whole, sector.
Yeah.
Or it's the entire quarterly payroll for an entire sector, which is a lot of money.
Lots and lots of money, which could be really helpful to a growing rebellion.
I mean, Andor gets 200K if, this works out.
Right? Which, I mean, how much are they getting if they're just giving some random guy 200?
And does everybody have a different cut?
Right. Good point.
Oh, one part of the whole operation that's crazy is whenever Black Guy shows up, who's like the Imperial, they're in to the Imperial network that's there.
Right.
They're talking about the meteor shower. And Andor says something like, oh, you've seen this before. And he's like, I've seen it twice. I've been here for like nearly 7 years.
Right.
Which is insane to think how long this operation has been ongoing and how long this little rebel cell has been here on Aldhani.
Yeah.
If that guy's been here as part of the Empire for nearly 7 years, how long have everybody else that's been pretending to be like Aldhani sheep herders or whatever, how long have they been there? And Andor's coming in the last 3 days. I think if you remember that line, it makes the group's mentality towards Cassian make a lot more sense because everybody's very standoffish towards him besides Autism Boy.
Right.
And everybody's just kind of like, what are you doing here? Rather than like, oh, we've got another team member, because they've probably been here for years, planning this, figuring everything out, timing things, building the layout, 1-to-1 scale reconfigurations of the base and everything. And then you bring this guy in and you're just supposed to trust him 3 days before the heist after you've been there for years planning it.
Yeah. I get why they'd be so pissed.
Yeah, because they've probably worked this down, to the very minute, it sounds like. And now you're throwing in someone else for quote-unquote redundancy issues.
Right. I totally get why they're so stressed. And sorry, I was looking it up. It's Gorn. Lieutenant Gorn's his name.
Oh.
Which everyone's kind of mad about him being there, except for Autistic Guy. But Gorn definitely seems the angriest. And I think that makes sense because he is actually a lieutenant. He's got the most at stake.
Right. All very interesting things. Mm-hmm. A lot going on here.
Yeah, a lot going on. A lot to happen in the next couple episodes.
And I look forward to them.
Yeah. Well, I think that was everything for today. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to be a part of this conversation, you can email us at animalsquadron@gmail.com. Again, that is animalsquadron@gmail.com. And if you could leave us a review wherever you're listening, that would be amazing. For the Animal Squadron, this has been MotherGoose.
And HouseDog.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. R.I.P. Tuck.
R.I.P. Tukey.